Everyone okay? All right, Chief, what would you like to say?
So I just, we put out a press release earlier today of an arrest of a Newport police officer, and I just think it was important that since I've been here, I've tried to be very transparent and open with this community, and I wanted to be very, very forthcoming about this arrest, as well as this organization, the men and women that work here, sworn and civilian both. I actually sent the message to the department first before I released it to the media. I had strong conversations with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office throughout this process, and again this morning, and then of course the city administration. But I just think it's important to be open and transparent, and that was the reason as that came out that I knew there would be some questions, and I just want to give the media outlets an opportunity to ask. Again, the arrest was just made this afternoon. There's a lot of things that I cannot go into in the case. I don't want to jeopardize anything as we move forward. The case now is in the judicial system. We have to let it take its course. But I would offer the opportunity if there are some questions, and I'll be glad to address what I can. But I just want to say at the beginning that there are a lot of things that I will not be able to go into. I don't want to hurt the case and let that take its course.
Chief, how did the victim become known to police?
There was a complaint was made early, I should say mid-year in June of last year, and that's when the roots of the investigation started from their allegation back in June, and brought to our attention, and the detectives took the case from there.
Now, when that victim came forward, did Officer Robert Jones know about this complaint from the start?
So it took a while for those things to take place as the investigation unfolds, and we look at the validity and the information coming forward. He was notified when he needed to be notified. We looked into this. It was a joint internal affairs originally. Briefed me on it when I first got here. But I want to say this, and that's a very good question. This is a professional organization, and the detectives that investigated this case did an outstanding job, and were extremely professional. It was a strong collaboration with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office from get-go. But because the incident, the situation time frame is in the past, there had to be. It was a complex case that they had to work out. They did a very, very dedicated, and they did a professional job.
And just to show the transparency, the sexual assault was made, allegedly occurred on June 6, 2018. Timeline, when did the victim come forward? Do you know roughly when? And then what period of time after that was the officer made aware of this complaint? So
I want to be as open as I can, and I don't want to misspeak on some of those exact dates. The complaint was made on June 6th, 2018. That's when the allegation was reported. I don't have the exact date when Mr. Jones was notified of the incident being investigated, but the incident didn't happen on June 6th. That's when the complaint came. The incident happened, like you said, allegedly happened prior, and that's because of that distance, that time frame. It took a while to get some of the information that we needed before we sat down with Mr. Jones.
Chief, do we know likely where this incident happened, or where they met up or were involved?
I can tell you this, that we do, but because of the case and the investigation, I don't want to release that right now, but yes, we do.
As police chief, have you had a chance to talk to the rest of your officers? I mean, how disappointing is something like this?
I would tell you, it's a great question. I think it's important, we talk about transparency in our community, but it's also being open and transparent with the men and women who work here every day. Just before you all arrived, I was in a meeting with line level officers. We meet monthly and have open discussions about their concerns. And you can only imagine what the first question was today. But I will have to say, an officer who's been here about 5 or 6 years, the first thing they said to me was, "We appreciate you letting us know." I do not want the men and women who work here to turn on the news and see this incident on the news, and I haven't shared that information with them. I've been in constant contact with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and the detectives that investigated this case. Myself and the assistant chiefs have had open discussions amongst ourselves. We all believe that it's important that this organization knows what's going on. I think that's out of respect. I did send out a copy of the press release that you all received to them first, and then a brief message from me that basically just talked about this organization being professional. I expect us to remain professional, and I am as I got the briefs and then the final case and that we're ready to go forward with warrants, the detectives did an outstanding job.
There are a number of charges.
Yes.
Over what period of time did these crimes allegedly occur? And what was the relationship that you can tell us, Chief, between the officer and the victim?
So I can't get into the relationship because that's going to be key and as the case goes forward. And I had a very good conversation with Mr. Gwynn this morning. I don't want to get too much into that about time frames. I don't want to get too much into locations, nor the relationship. I think that could cause some problems. I think that the point is that it was a lengthy time frame when the allegation came. They moved on it quickly. The investigation started. There was a lot of stuff to investigate, individuals to talk with. They did that. They did a professional job. A lot of man hours. I could not be more proud of the investigative team. But to direct answer to some of the questions you asked, I can't get into those things.
The period of time?
Yeah.
The period of time, because there are a number of charges.
Yes, sir. That could cause some problems with the case, and I can't do that.
Can you tell us how many incidents there were?
No. All I can tell you is, I think pretty clear here as you look at the different charges. That was the arrest, the warrants that were obtained. I will tell you, the warrants were obtained this morning. They were obtained from a magistrate, and the arrest was made this afternoon without incident. But I don't want to get into number of times and incidents and how. Okay, I don't want to do that.
And
Tell
just
us if it was a female or a male victim?
I will tell you that it was a female juvenile.
And I just want to make sure I'm understanding the wording correctly in the press release. At the time they were a juvenile, are they still a juvenile now, or
The individual is an adult now.
an adult now? Okay, but when these incidents occurred, they were a juvenile?
She was a juvenile.
Okay, thank you.
And the charges, we had 2 counts of rape, 1 count carnal knowledge, I'm just confirming all of this.
Yes, sir.
1 count forcible sodomy, 4 counts taken indecent liberties, and 1 count criminal solicitation. What was the criminal solicitation?
No, I can't go in, I don't want to break down any of these. The charges you listed off and the counts are correct. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that you all have a copy of the press release, and if you don't, I'll make sure that you have one before you leave here, but you're absolutely correct.
And the title of the officer, was it just a police officer, or is he a different rank?
No, Officer Robert Jones.
Tell us a little bit more about Officer Robert Jones and what his position was and what he did. What was his responsibilities here at the police department?
What I can say, Officer Jones is an officer. I want to make sure I get that north precinct, control the northern part of the city. He's been here right around I believe 12 years, if I have that correct. But other than that, I'm not going to go into character.
Was he a decorated officer?
I'd say that I would again remember that in my time here, I don't have personal knowledge. I haven't worked a lot with him. So I'm going to stem away from that. I'm not trying to be evasive, but he's been here 12 years and worked in the north part of the precinct. And I will say there are a lot of officers here that work with him.
Are you able to go in, you talked briefly
Sure.
about this before, but as a chief, when you find out about something like this and you see this come forward, what does it mean to you, and going forward, what happens with the force?
So let me take that in 2 ways. Number one, these are very serious charges, and I won't take that lightly. It's bothersome to me. No individual who leads any organization, nor one that deals with public service, wants to hear something like this. But I think that any chief that you talk to would say that there's certainly a possibility of things that happen. I think what defines is how we address it, how we respond to it. Can our department investigate those matters if the allegations are against someone that works in our own organization? I think that the press release you received, the relationship and trust that we have in this community, and by just having this conference, this interview today, that I think we've answered that. We certainly can. The men and women who investigated this case, and the individual who works in this organization, did an outstanding professional job. In fact, I plan on meeting with them as soon as we're finished here to encourage them and tell them to have my full support. You can only imagine that some of those issues can be challenging when we investigate someone that works here that you maybe worked with. This is a professional organization, and when I walked in the door here in July, I am going to be open and transparent with this community. I have got trust with the citizens of Newport News, and that's what I intend to do. But I also say this, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at the professional work that they did in that division. They did an outstanding job, exactly what they were asked to do, and they delivered. They kept me informed as the case went on, and the decision was made to obtain warrants. We met extensively about how that would take place. And like I said, he came in and turned himself in this afternoon without incident. Am I concerned how officers feel about it? Yes. Several have reached out to me already. And primarily it's been thank you for sharing the information, letting us know first. But we have our command staff meetings, and as the weeks go on, I'm going to make some resources available to officers who worked with him, officers who investigated this case to make sure of their well-being. I'm concerned about them. But I think the message is very, very clear, that this is a professional organization, and these detectives investigated this case exactly how I expected them to, and that they continue to impress me every day.
Was he contacted when he turned himself in this afternoon without incident? Hey, what was the process by which he was told that he needed to come down here and turn himself in?
You know what, you just said it. Without going too much into it, he was contacted, asked to report to police headquarters. He did without incident. At that point, he was notified of the charges. He was taken into custody, again without incident, and transported down to the facility.
Has he said anything to you about what happened or anything like that? I bet you don't want to talk.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I can't walk down that. Fair question, but I just can't walk down that road.
Right. Well, how difficult is it for these officers to investigate one of their own?
I think
You alluded
Sure.
to it a little bit earlier.
Sure.
But how difficult is it? What are they going through? What is the process that they're going through?
I think that they look at situations. I'm just speaking for myself. The 25 years experience that I have here in law enforcement, that no one likes to hear about those allegations. It doesn't matter to me if it's in this department or across the country. No one likes to see someone in this profession do something or be alleged to do something of criminal intent, or that hurts relationships or hurts the organization, hurts this profession. Law enforcement certainly has its issues in the past as we look through the civil rights era and things that happen that we've had to overcome. We have to continue to move forward and be better and challenge ourselves. But we know, detectives know, officers know, when you come into this, you may have to be called to deal with a family member, a friend that you grew up with, someone that you went to high school with, a former employee. You may have to, and we found out today that you may have to interact with someone who works beside you. But we also know this, that we're going through the training in the academy, professionalism that we require here, the men and women that work here. I expect them to be professional in what they do. We go to some of the worst scenes that you can think of, whether it's a homicide or something that happens to a child or a loss of life. We still process those scenes. Forensics does it for hours. We investigate those cases. And we don't just put anyone in divisions like that to do these type of investigations. They're the best of the best that we have, and they deliver.
I don't know if you had a chance to maybe talk to the victim, but what message would you have for that family or any other individual who may trust officers to do their job and they betrayed by that trust? What message would you have for the victim, or similar families or situations?
I think that's a great case, or a great question. I'm sorry, it's a great question. I want the citizens of Newport News to know that we care about them. I want them to know that I want them to be able to trust this police department and this organization, and that we're going to do the best we can to serve the citizens and anyone who is the victim of a crime. I hope that the message has been clear. I certainly tried to talk about it since I walked into this organization, this great city, that we are here to serve the citizens of Newport News. And that's what we're going to do in the most professional way that we can. But I will say this, we will make mistakes. We don't always get it right. And you've heard me say before, you and I have had the same conversation. We will be better tomorrow than we are today, and we're better today than we were yesterday. We have to continue to improve and build on our successes and learn from our failures and mistakes. But I think it's important, is my commitment to you all, as we talked early on when I first got here, you and I sat down and had some conversations, that I am going to be transparent. I am going to speak openly about what goes on in this department, how we're interacting with our community. I'm going to talk about when the crime numbers are down and we're doing well. I expect have to have those same hard conversations when crime is up and we're having some struggles, and gotta reevaluate what we do. The whole point of today was to give you what I could, to share some information, a lot of the same information that I've given the officers that work here. I'm sure that we'll have some more conversations with the men and women of this department. I will certainly be taking a survey from my command staff and the assistant chiefs of how we feel like people are doing. I'm gonna meet with the detectives who investigated into this case as soon as we're finished here, and I want to thank them, and I want to give them support. Thank them for being professional, for doing a thorough job, and now this case now is in the hands of the judicial system, and I think we have to let it take its course.
Is there any chances there could be any more victims at this point?
From the evidence I've seen, the answer to that would be no, but you never know what could come out in further, but I haven't seen any evidence of that at this point.
Chief, was he placed on administrative leave today or a prior date?
No, he has been on at the point where we received the as I got the continual briefings and updates, he was placed on administrative leave back in January, and he was today when he was taken into custody, he was notified that he would be on administrative leave without pay from this point forward.
He was with administrative leave with pay
In
since
January.
January.
Yes, sir.
And just to clarify, you were briefed on this when you came in?
I briefed on the allegation, and the investigation was fairly starting. I started here July 2nd. The information came forward 1st of June, and because of, again, of that time frame, there was a lot of information that had to be gone back through and covered and dealt with, and there was certainly some time frame lag there from when the allegation was brought forward and the incident of occurrence. So it took a while, but yes, I did get some early briefings on this case.
Because there was a 3-month period of time from when he was put on administrative leave with pay to today. Why did it take so long to figure that out?
Because of the time frame of how long, from the time of incident to the time of arrest, the time of incident to the time of even the allegation. As those allegations came forward, there was we need to talk to this individual. It may take us a while to find that individual. Our next step is this, but it may take us a while to track that down because it wasn't something that everything's here in one location and boom, right? There was a lot of things that had to be covered. But out of fairness to victim and Mr. Jones, I looked at that and I made that decision on the evidence I had at the time.
Have there been any restraining orders taken out against the police officer by the victim's family or anything like that? Any type of stay away type stuff? Anything like?
I don't want to walk down that road of anything that recent, but that I know of at the time. No. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to thank you all. You all have been always very fair to us, and I appreciate the conversation and the openness. I appreciate the message you take from this department to the community. I think it's important, and I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm working on getting you guys looking better.